Welcome to Musings of a Watch Collector, a carefully curated channel of all my timepieces. I will be showcasing each piece in detail to understand its historical and cultural significance. Let me take you on a horological journey that covers watchmakers from around the world, both past and present. So join me on my meanderings, Musings of a Watch Collector. Hello everyone, I'm Michael and welcome back to Musings of a Watch Collector. In this episode, we're going to be looking at something very special. It's one of my favourite pieces in my collection, and that is my Vintage Rolex Date. But before we look at the watch, let's take a brief look at the history of Rolex. Rolex is one of the world's most iconic brands, and as we know, it's synonymous with luxury, quality and excellence. Founded in 1905 by Hans Wilsdorf and Alfred Davies in London, United Kingdom, it has a horological history spanning more than 115 years. It was in the 1930s that we start to see the Rolex crown being emboldened as their logo on their watches. Then, in 1945, we start to see their first self-winding movements, or the Oyster Perpetual. It was one of the world's first self-winding movements. The clever design mitigated the need for the crown to be unscrewed and manually wound. This meant that the watch could be completely waterproof, hence the name Oyster and Perpetual, due to its self-winding rotor. Interesting fact, the Rolex Oyster Perpetual was worn by Sir Edmund Hillary in 1953. This was the first watch movement to make it to the top of Mount Everest, which is the highest natural point on Earth. His Oyster Perpetual movement was designed by Rolex and specially housed in a case made to withstand the harsh elements of Mount Everest. This is probably one of the most iconic movements from Rolex, as it is still made in production today. My Rolex is the reference 1500 with the 1570 movement. In 1956, Rolex introduced the Cyclops eye over the date window. This became an iconic design element and is still used on many Rolexes today. This watch runs on 26 joules at 19,800 beats per hour or 2.75 Hertz. It has a total power reserve of up to 48 hours and is an officially certified chronometer movement. My Rolex was manufactured in 1978. Which makes this piece more than 42 years old. It still keeps time very well and is a perfect example of a true Rolex workhorse. The fluted bezel has a lovely patina to it, and the gold hands and batons sit strikingly on the blue sunburst dial. The case itself measures 34mm. The screw-down crown is original and signed. What drew me to this piece was its very unique blue sunburst dial, which I haven't seen many of in the second-hand Rolex vintage watch market. It really is quite a privilege to own a timepiece such as this, and is one of the reasons why horology fascinates me. The fact that there are hundreds of tiny components in this watch that make up its mechanical movement is a testament and reflection to the ingenuity of human evolution. It's not just an important piece for me in my collection, but also a very important piece for Rolex. This movement pioneered modern horology with key features and achievements such as its self-winding rotor, its screw-down crown, and its waterproof case. This watch keeps time very well and is a perfect piece for that formal occasion, sitting neatly under a cuffed shirt and suit, or for that casual day out. You'll notice that I'm wearing it with a brown leather two-piece strap, which is alligator leather. However, I've also swapped this out for a solid blue NATO, which really brings out that blue sunburst dial. Let me know what you think about this vintage Rolex, or any vintage Rolexes that you might own or have come across before. Feel free to comment below, and if you've enjoyed my video, consider giving it a like. If you're enjoying the content on my channel so far, consider subscribing. Well, that's a wrap. I'm Michael from Musings of a Watch Collector, and I'll see you at our next episode.